Thank you. So thanks for joining. Uh, can you tell me what are the roles and responsibilities of a BA?
Roles and responsibilities of BA is gathering a requirement from the stakeholders and responsibility of documenting them, and we should be able to convey that to the development team. A primary role is the thing. So bridging between the business people and the development team is the primary key role of the business analyst. We have to get the download from the business team, and we have to communicate to the development team without any confusions or without any miscommunication. I coordinate with the business owners during the UAT, and I know how to prepare a BRD for that business in case if it is a waterfall project. And in terms of agile oriented, we would be working as a preparing a user story and acceptance criteria. So those things would be there.
Okay. When you say agile, can you a little bit explain how did you use agile methodology in your project?
Agile methodology is like see, we work for a sprint for any short sprint or which goes for a 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where the complete requirement, complete business process is completed. We are working. So those things will be working in a short sprint. We would be working in an agile based project. So in Agile, so for all the phases like requirement, design, and development, release will happen simultaneously in each sprint. And
Okay. How long was your sprint?
yeah, it will be around maximum of 4 weeks, um, and minimum it will be like 2 weeks. So the sprint goes. So in Agile, it ensures a faster delivery of completion of a project, where customer provided continuous feedback with the sprint, and it makes a correlation also. So it reduces a chance of huge work like later phase of the project.
Right. So what is sprint? Do you know what is sprint planning meeting?
Sprint planning is what we get the entire structure of how the how the working will be for the rest of the phase. So we would be defining the business. We would be getting the idea for working on this pattern. Like um, so. So this what like getting the complete download of how to run this project is what we decide in the sprint planning actually. Yeah. So how long will it take to complete that entire business process, and those things will be decided in a sprint planning level.
Okay.
And how many people required, and what
Mhm.
is the velocity, and those things will be defined in the sprint planning meeting.
Right. Do you know what is story points and like how will you calculate story points?
Story points will always be in a Fibonacci series. So we add up how the Fibonacci series works is if we add the first two numbers, that should get the total of the third number. So based upon the story points, like a criticality of a high, medium, or a low, those things will define the story points actually. The high priority where we need to deliver to the client on priority basis will be defined in a high priority basis. So the medium priority will be get delivered in the second stage of the cycle. So based upon that, the story points will be defined.
Okay. What's the difference between sprint review meeting and sprint retrospective meeting?
Sprint review will happen on the product what we delivered completely. Is there any problem in the sprint? The workings which we did, or what are all the major corrections, or what are all the problems which we handled in a sprint review? Those things will be handled in sprint retro. What went well or what did not went well, and what are all the improvements that we should action on work? Those things will happen on the sprint retrospective meeting. In sprint review meeting, all the stakeholders will participate, including the product owner, scrum master, and the business analyst team, development team. In sprint retro, only the three teams like development team, product owner team, scrum master, and the business analyst will participate.
Right, that's great. So when we say user stories, right? Can you explain me how an user story should look like? What's an exact format for a user story?
The purpose of user story is a requirement for any functionality or for a feature which will be written down in maximum less than 4 lines actually. And we have a template for a user story as a customer we want, for example, if I want a credit card, I mean if I want a bank account in a net banking, as a customer I want a net banking to be activated so that I can log into my net banking to check my fund balance and do a transfer, so that I can able to make some workings without visiting to the bank actually. So we have a certain template for those things actually.
Okay. What is acceptance criteria? How will you define a proper acceptance criteria?
Acceptance criteria is what the condition should fulfill to deliver the process step. So, for example, if we are writing a user story for any, like as I given a previous example for opening a net banking account or activating a net banking account. So the purpose of net banking is to avoid going for a bank and where we can access from anywhere to make any fund transfer or to see the balance. So for that, acceptance criteria should be like, for example, the connectivity of the internet should be stable, and this is a happy flow of the path. We have to check the internet connectivity, and for example, and for a negative path, acceptance criteria would be without an internet connection or without a user ID of net banking, we would not be able to log into a dedicated profile to net banking.
You're saying without internet connection, we cannot
The
log into that.
acceptance criteria is what the preconditions, the conditions should satisfy to work on the requirement.
Okay.
For net banking, see, before logging into net banking, we should have the dedicated user ID or password.
Mm-hmm.
So we should log in with either the user ID and password, and we should have an internet connectivity. And those things will be the condition will satisfy to meet our expectations.
Okay. No, I differ from that. I would say what is acceptance criteria is whatever feature we are developing, okay, when we test that feature, uh, we should be able to successfully complete that feature during testing. Okay, that is the acceptance criteria. So, for example, when we say login, as you said, login, if you are able to successfully log in, that's one of the acceptance criteria. When it comes to like internet connection, all that, those are non-functional requirements. Okay, when we say acceptance
Like,
criteria, it's completely functional requirements.
non-functional requirement like security, scalability, and
Environmental factors,
usability.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
those things will come under a non-functional requirements. Okay, because the confusion which arises in acceptance criteria, the condition should fulfill for the deliverables.
No. Acceptance criteria in the sense, whatever you're developing, right? In order for that product to work, okay, when you say that you have developed a feature, what's the criteria for to say that this is fine, this is a success? So when you have valid username and password, you are able to log in. So that's the acceptance criteria. If it logs in, it is good. You're good.
Okay.
That's the acceptance criteria for that login feature, for login user story. Got it?
I got it.
Okay. So what's the difference between functional and non-functional requirements?
Functional requirement is non-functional. Functional requirement is completely of a high-level business requirements. Uh, Non-functional is completely it is not within our scope. It is completely pertains with securability, scalability, reliability. So those things will come under non-functional requirement. Any action which we can work from our end will be a functional requirement.
Okay, good. Okay, let's get into some of the documentation questions. So so when you said you documented BRD, so what is a BRD? What is the format of a BRD that you have used? What is very important in the BRD?
BRD is a business requirement document. We primarily use this BRD in a waterfall project, actually. So where we get the complete download from the business team, and we have to document it completely. There are all the requirements. The key template of the BRD is we have to make a note of who are all the participants of this complete meeting, all the stakeholders, and we have to feed the BRD details over there. And we have to, as I said, we have to take the download and we have to completely give the requirements in the BRD, each and every step. So it will be mainly for a waterfall project.
Okay. Do you know what is in scope and out of scope? What's the difference?
Open out of scope.
Right. What is in scope and out of scope? When you write a scope in BRD, how will you define in scope and out of scope?
Scopes which are within our boundary, where we can able to work would be in scope, and the workings which is not in our limit, which is beyond our control, or out of scope.
Can you give me an example for that?
Like, see, out of scope would be where I can say a non-functional features, like those things will be out of scope. Like a separate team would be working on a non-functional requirement, actually. Mm.
Okay. So, the meeting will end in 1 minute. Please join back again, okay? Because due to Zoom meeting, right, time limit, the meeting will end in like 1 minute. So, can you join back later after a minute?
Sure, sure. I can join back right now, or will it take some time?
Yeah, you can join back right now also, no problem.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I will join back right away.
Okay. Okay. So, tell me a situation where you have to like um, there was scope creep, for example. Scope creep in the sense the stakeholder told you something, and whether your team was not able to deliver it. So, how did you handle such situations?
See, we have to connect with the stakeholder once again, and I have to first apologize for him for things going in a wrong direction. So I have to clearly make a note of that with the materials, actually. So take a clear download from the business team, from the stakeholder. So, and I have to compare with the previous one what went wrong and what exactly the requirement is. So that is how we work, actually.
Okay. So, what could be the reason for this scope creep or requirements gap? What do you think? Like, what are the possible
It is
reasons?
like understanding of miscommunication. I mean, the person as a business analyst getting the download or understanding the requirement, he has to be very attentive, the business analyst. So somewhere if he is not attentive, or somewhere if he couldn't able to exactly understand the business requirement, because of various reasons, see, that's where the confusion arises, and it goes in a wrong direction. So from a business analyst point of view, we have to be very attentive, and we have to be very cautious, and we have to take the points clearly with the pen, the help of material notes or pen properly, and we have to document it clearly without missing any points.
Okay, good.
So if there is any confusions, then we have to ask them. We should not hesitate to ask the questions, or then that will ultimately lead to a confusion in the future
Okay.
drive.
Do you know what is UAT?
It is a user acceptance testing, actually.
So,
So
how
that
do
will
you
be done by the
perform
development
UAT?
team. That would be done by the development team.
Are you sure that will be done by the development team or by the stakeholders, like the business owners?
Depends on few projects. A few projects, development team would be doing that UAT, user acceptance testing.
Okay. So, what is the meaning of UAT? So, once the business sees the product and once they provide the sign off, what does that really mean?
User acceptance testing is what we have to test that functionality is working correctly. Yeah. So from user perspective, For example, if I am the end user, I have to assume myself that I am an end user, and I have to test the function. I, mean, I have to test the functionality whether it is working correctly, and I have to accept. I have to the condition should get satisfied. Whether the functions are working correctly. That is a user acceptance testing, right?
Okay, so as you said, there could be some UAT team also to do the testing, but mostly UAT user acceptance is done by the business owners. So what they will do is like from their end, they will test and they will tell us, okay, we gave you requirements and we now tested. It everything looks good and they provide you a sign off, which means they agreed that whatever requirements that they gave, they are fine with that with the product. When they provide a UAT sign off, and that sign off needs to be gathered by you, it is BA's responsibility to get that sign off. It means that they are happy with the product. Okay, and that documentation is really important because that is like source of truth for you. Like tomorrow something happens in production, something a defect raises in production, a critical defect is raising in production, you have that sign off, right? So it means that they have agreed, they tested from their side, and we have the sign off. So you so that it's very important the business tests that and provides the sign off. You got the difference. Like internal testing is different from UAT. UAT is done mostly by the business owners,
Business owners.
right?
So
Or the
from
stakeholders
our
who
end,
is.
we won't be doing. I mean, so to get a clarity on this, either a development team or a BA team will not use DAV or UAT or.
Yeah. So development will do their unit testing. Testing team will do their own testing. So there are like different types of testing, and testing team will do that. But UAT is done by business owners or someone who gave us requirements. They will do it.
Okay.
Yeah, they are the end users, right? They'll assume they are end users and they will do it and they'll provide a sign off. Without getting UAT sign off, you are not going to move the code to production,
I understand.
right? So that's very important. That documentation responsibility is BA's responsibility too. Tomorrow something happens critical in production environment, we have a proof that they gave the sign off, right? Okay, that's very important. I hope this interview was helpful for you, and I think
Seriously, this is a very first time. Seriously, don't have enough opportunity to connect with anyone. Seriously, for getting a helping hand, and the very first one. Probably, if I have some, probably not. If I have some mock interviews, I can get some better idea, or either I'm just seeing in YouTube videos. That's it. But in real time scenario, I'm not connected with any people to have some download where I stand to evaluate myself.
yeah,
I'm
you are
just by
good.
seeing a
Like,
YouTube video,
mhm.
just by seeing a YouTube video or keep on watching a videos will not satisfy the end result. So we have to analyze ourselves to know where we stand exactly. For that, mock interviews will be very helpful, and you
Okay.
have helped me in this in the as opening path.
Right, right. So I why I want to do mock interview is like because if they're preparing on their perspective, they actually don't know what the interview questions will look like. People definitely fail in the interview, right? So mock interviews will be definitely helpful to gain the confidence.
Exactly, seriously. So coming from completely from a non-BA background, from a non-technical, at least for a business analyst, a interview will be helpful. For people like me, like coming from a completely from a non-technical background and moving to a agile business analyst, and I have to get a more clarity to attend the interviews to answer the questions correctly. So for that, mock interviews will be very useful.
Right. I'm glad that my videos are helping you to to learn.
Seriously, your videos are helping me a lot actually. In fact, if I couldn't able to understand, I'm watching your videos for the second time and just trying to understand the concepts actually. But the problem is, I couldn't able to retain and I couldn't able to memorize completely. It is not like memorize. I couldn't able to retain it. I just forget. I tend to forget it actually. So I make a note of it with the separate notes. That's a problem.
Okay, so don't worry. Give me 1 second.
Sorry, but right from the beginning, I didn't ask your name, first of all. I'm
Yeah,
Deepak.
yeah, that's fine. I'd rather be without name. Since I'm on YouTube, I don't due to privacy reasons, I'm not giving my name or anything to anybody. That's fine, totally fine. Okay, Deepak, thank you for joining, and send me your resume. I will definitely like see what we can tweak in the resume, and then we'll have one more mock interview. And I hope you will get interview calls very soon. And I can also tell you how to like answer project specific, right? How exactly you need to answer project specific, and that will be very helpful for you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I will send my resume across to you.